the spark of rebellion. Captain Mira Devane had always believed in diplomacy. Even after the Galactic Empire absorbed Earth into its sprawling bureaucracy and branded humanity as a protectorate species, she held out hope for peace. Her ship, the Eos Dawn, was not a warship. It carried no heavy weapons, no shock troops. It was a survey and envoy cruiser, designed for exploration, not defense. So when the Empire's cruiser Voltoran appeared out of slip space near the orbit of Epsilon Centauri II, Mira didn't sound battle stations. She opened a comm channel. "This is Captain Mira Devane of the UNS Eos Dawn. We are on a scheduled diplomatic mission. Identify yourself." There was silence. Then came light, bright, blinding white, as plasma lances carved through the hull of the Eos Dawn. Mira didn't have time to shout before decompression alarm screamed. Her ship was being cut open like a carcass. "Shields are down," her tactical officer yelled. "We're being boarded." But they weren't boarded. The Empire didn't want prisoners. They wanted a message. The last thing Mira saw before the bridge collapsed was the view from orbit. Epsilon Centauri II, her destination, a thriving colony of 6 million humans, engulfed in a pillar of fire as an orbital bombardment turned it to glass. She awoke floating in a shattered escape pod, hull twisted, oxygen low. Her eyes fluttered open to a field of debris. Pieces of the Eos Dawn drifted by like dying leaves. She found the emergency transmitter still functional and keyed in the distress code manually, fingers shaking. Encrypted shortwave, triple jump relay. No chance of interception. Message to Earth Command. Mission failed. Colony lost. No warning. Empire struck first. Initiate Dauntless Protocol. We are at war. She ended with a single sentence. They crossed the line. On Earth, in the fortified depths of the Terran High Command, alarms sounded. Admiral Kiran Shaw reviewed the transmission. His jaw clenched. "Activate Project Dauntless," he ordered. For over a century, Earth had lived under the Empire's shadow, peaceful, complacent, underestimated. But that peace had never been free. Behind their sterile diplomatic masks, the Empire saw humans as animals who had stumbled into the stars. They didn't expect humans to prepare for this day. They didn't expect Project Dauntless, a hidden fleet born in secret shipyards across the Kuiper Belt, equipped with weapons designed to punch through the most advanced shields in the galaxy. Ships forged with Terran steel and human spite. 2 weeks later, Mira Devane stood aboard the HSS Vindicator, a dreadnought built in silence, cloaked from the Empire scanners. Scars still lined her face. She hadn't slept more than an hour at a time. The pain of what she'd seen, what she'd lost, clung to her like gravity. But she stood tall in front of Admiral Shaw and the other captains. "We have confirmation that the Empire framed the attack as a pirate suppression," Shaw said. "They claim Epsilon Centauri had rebelled. It's a lie." Mira's voice was cold. "Then it's time we show them the truth." The Admiral nodded. "We hit them hard, fast, and quiet. Take out their outposts, shipyards, and cut off the core. No declarations. Just action." A long silence fell over the war room. Then Mira said what everyone else was thinking. "They thought they could break us, that we'd beg or hide. But they made one mistake." Shaw raised an eyebrow. "Which was?" "They reminded us what we're capable of when cornered." Outside the ship, stars burned quietly. Peaceful. Deceptive. Somewhere out there, the Empire laughed behind its golden banners, sure of its superiority, sure that humans were too fragile, too fractured to fight back. They would learn. Because this wasn't just retaliation. This was the beginning of the end, the human response. They came in silence, cloaked in black hulls and rage. The HSS Vindicator, followed by a wolf pack of stealth corvettes and strike frigates, slipped into the Eltarian fringe, a sector littered with minor Empire relay stations, refueling posts, and slave processing centers. The Empire had long considered it secure space, far from any meaningful resistance. They were wrong. Captain Mira Devane stood on the command deck of the Vindicator, arms crossed, eyes locked on the tactical display. "Target, Relay Node 7, her XO announced. Defenses minimal. Automated gun turrets. One-man cruiser in standby orbit. Cut their power. Hit their comms. No survivors, Mira ordered. This is war. The attack lasted 90 seconds. EMP bursts scrambled every sensor. AI-guided missiles peeled apart the cruiser before it ever raised shields. A boarding team of cybernetically enhanced Marines swept the station, eliminating resistance and downloading terabytes of intel. No transmissions escaped. No alarms were triggered. By the time the Empire realized something was wrong, Mira had already hit 6 more sites. Each strike came without warning, leaving nothing but drifting metal and silence in the void. Admiral Kiran Shah watched from Earth Command as the reports streamed in, data caches intercepted, supply chains collapsing, communications in disarray. "They're folding faster than we projected," Shah murmured. "They never expected real resistance," General Okoro said beside him. "They've spent centuries subjugating pacified species. We're the first to hit back hard. We'll make sure we're not the last," Shah replied. Across the stars, humanity's hidden war machines came to life. Subterranean shipyards launched cruisers clad in heat-absorbing alloys. Orbital platforms released swarms of combat drones equipped with quantum-hardened processors. Colonial militias, once considered obsolete, were activated and rearmed. And on every liberated station, Mira left the same message etched in every language. "You struck first. We strike back." But not all missions went smoothly. During the assault on Korvax Station, a research facility orbiting a gas giant, the Empire struck back. A dreadnought emerged from hyperspace mid-operation, catching Mira's forces by surprise. The enemy was larger, stronger, and heavily shielded. A direct confrontation would be suicide. "Get us out of here," her pilot shouted. "No," Mira said. "They think size wins wars. Let's educate them." She deployed a decoy drone cloud and fired a payload of magnetized mines along the enemy's predicted course. As the dreadnought turned to chase the retreating corvettes, it passed straight through the trap. 10 seconds later, the hull ruptured in 3 places. The Vindicator turned, finished the crippled behemoth with twin plasma lances, and jumped away before the wreckage cooled. Later, in the dim light of her quarters, Mira replayed a decrypted transmission from an Empire fleet officer. It was a panicked report from one of their remaining strongholds. "These humans, they don't fight like anyone else. They disappear, then strike with precision. No warning, no pattern. They're not savages. They're something else." She smiled bitterly. They were learning. Within a month, whispers of the Terran resistance echoed through outer Empire colonies. Alien workers passed around grainy footage of human ships slashing through Imperial fleets. Subjugated species began to hope. Some even dared to act. A species called the Rithari, long enslaved for their biological memory processing skills, sabotaged an Imperial logistics hub and sent it into a nearby sun. Before they died, they carved one word into their cells: human. The message spread like wildfire. Humanity wasn't just fighting for itself now. It had become a symbol, a spark. On the second moon of Velmara, Mira stood before a captured Imperial officer, a high-ranking fleet tactician with 4 cybernetic eyes, and the Imperial crest burned into his armor. "You don't understand what you've started," he growled, defiant despite his restraints. "Oh, I understand perfectly," Mira replied, stepping close. "This is treason. You are under our protection." Mira struck him once, open palm. "You burned 6 million civilians alive and called it protection." She leaned in, her voice low, clear, and recorded. "Tell your masters this is no rebellion. This is humanity evolved." She turned toward the camera drone, gaze steady. "This is your warning. We are not what you think we are." The message went viral, across black markets, encrypted relay loops, and whispered among trembling Imperial governors. The Empire had woken the wrong enemy, and they were running out of time. The Empire falters. High above the core world of Zarifis Prime, the once proud capital of the Galactic Empire, the mood in the Imperial Palace had turned from condescension to dread. Emperor Tarshan VI sat in his obsidian throne, fingers steepled beneath his chin, watching a holographic map flicker with red. supply depots gone dark, comms relays offline, border colonies in open revolt. The Terrans, once dismissed as noisy primitives from a forgotten spiral, had become a knife in the Empire's spine. "This is not a rebellion," he said coldly. "This is contagion. Your Majesty," began Admiral Aelrix, bowing low, "we've underestimated their capabilities. Their tactics are unpredictable, efficient." "You mean savage," the Emperor spat, "like all lesser species." "No, sire," the Admiral said. "I mean effective." While the Empire debated, Mira Devane acted. Her target was Velkrith 9, a mining world enslaved generations ago to extract thorium, a critical energy resource. It was also a symbol, one of the first systems to fall during the Empire's rise. For centuries, its native people had been stripped of their culture, forced into labor, and genetically altered for compliance. Today, that ended. The Vindicator descended under full cloak. Orbiting satellites were hacked in microseconds by Earth's AI, Argus, and turned on their masters. Drop pods rained down like meteors, carrying human marines in exo-armor and Terran-trained resistance fighters. The battle was brutal. Empire overseers deployed suppressor drones and shock brigades. But Mira's forces fought with a fury that machines couldn't match. Precision strikes cut command lines. Bombers turned armored convoys into smoking craters. Civilians joined the uprising with tools, rocks, and bare fists. By nightfall, the human flag flew over the central processing spire. Mira stood atop it, broadcast drone hovering beside her, blood still smeared on her cheek. "To the people of the galaxy," she said, "hear me. You are not alone. The Empire has no right to rule you. Humanity stands with every world that has suffered beneath their boot." She turned toward a kneeling overseer, thrown at her feet by locals. This man once told his slaves that resistance was hopeless, that no one would come for them. She raised her voice. He was wrong. The galaxy took notice. On the fringe world of Krither, the insectoid Nalari race overran an imperial garrison and raised the sigil of Earth beside their high flag. On Keelan station workers jammed their slave collars with repurposed Terran signal disruptors and ejected their guards into space. Resistance became revolution. Back in the Empire's War Council, chaos reigned. Admiral Aelrix slammed a data slate on the table. "We just lost an entire fleet to a Terran trap in the Nargo Pass. They baited us with a fake distress signal, lured us into a gravity sinkhole, and collapsed the entry gate behind us." "How?" demanded Minister Virus. "How can they be everywhere?" "They aren't," Aelrix said grimly. "They're just smarter. Every move they make turns into 5 victories. Every world they touch ignites rebellion. They don't conquer, they liberate. And that's more dangerous than any warship." The Emperor's gaze narrowed. "Then it's time we end their illusion of mercy." 1 week later, Empire Command deployed its most devastating weapon, the solar flare array, designed to destabilize planetary suns and erase entire systems. Their target, Luna Bastion, Earth's military moon base. The weapon launched from a hidden platform near the Sirius Line, but never reached its destination. Human hackers, embedded in the Empire's comm relay, hijacked the guidance systems. At the last moment, the weapon turned. Its payload surged into the orbit of Valenkef, a core Empire shipyard. 17 capital-class vessels were vaporized. The shockwave obliterated 2 adjacent stations and knocked out a third of the region's fleet production. Mira watched the explosion from the Vindicator's main screen, arms folded. "They tried to burn our home," she said quietly. "So we lit a fire of our own." Later that night, in a war room aboard the Vindicator, Shaw transmitted a secure message to Mira. "The Emperor won't back down," he said. "His pride won't allow it." Mira nodded. "Then we break him. And if he threatens Earth again," she didn't hesitate, "we erase his legacy." She stood at the viewport, staring into the stars, into the heart of a crumbling empire. "This isn't revenge," she whispered. "This is justice." Final warning. The Galactic Empire was burning, and everyone could see it. From the shattered docks of Valenkef, to the liberated minds of Velkrith. 9. Its dominion crumbled system by system. Where once it projected strength with banners of gold and fleets of silver, now it projected fear. The Terran rebellion, once whispered in shadows, had become a storm the Empire could not stop. At its center stood Captain Mira Devane. She stood on the bridge of the HSS Vindicator, arms clasped behind her back, watching as the Terran fleet emerged from slipspace in full force. Around her, rebel cruisers, crewed by freed Rithari, Nalari, and a dozen other species, joined formation. At the fleet's heart loomed Project Eclipse, a weapon Earth had sworn never to use unless forced. That moment had come. Before them stood Zarifis Prime, the Empire's capital, the heart of its corruption. Mira's target. Fleet in position, her XO reported. Mira gave a single nod. Open the channel. Galaxy-wide. A soft chime echoed across the command deck as the message fed into the Empire's communication lattice. Pirated, hijacked, and echoed across 100 languages. Mira stepped forward. Her face was bruised, her voice calm, but her eyes burned. This is Captain Mira Devane of the Terran Defense Force. To the Galactic Empire, you have slaughtered civilians, enslaved entire species, and ruled by terror and arrogance for centuries. You destroyed our colonies. You called it justice. You burned our homes. You called it order. You have mistaken our patience for weakness, our restraint for fear. You were wrong. This is your final warning. Surrender. Disband. Free every world under your rule, or we will tear down everything you've built, one sun at a time. The message echoed across 1,000 systems. Some gasped. Some cheered. Some wept. But on Zarifis Prime, inside the Imperial Palace, the Emperor's face twisted with fury. Bluff, he growled. They won't risk full annihilation. She's not bluffing, Admiral Elrix whispered. The Emperor rounded on him. Then fire on Earth. Show them we do not yield. No, Elrix said, stepping back. I won't help you damn us all. Guards reached for him, but not fast enough. He activated a beacon and vanished in a shimmer of blue light. Back on the Vindicator, Mira turned to Admiral Shaw on the holoscreen. They've refused the terms. Then we move, Shaw replied. Eclipse is charged. Coordinates locked. Mira turned to her weapons officer. Fire. From the belly of Eclipse, a lance of light speared into space. Not toward Zarifis Prime, but toward Kaldros, a fortified Imperial system nearby. It housed no civilians, only war factories, AI forges, and military infrastructure. The sun bloomed. Then it collapsed. In seconds, Kaldros' star went dark, pulled inward by engineered singularity collapse. Within minutes, the system fell into silence. Shipyards twisted into black spirals. Power grids failed. Gravity surged. And then, nothing. The Empire had lost an entire sector. Not by battle, by message. Within hours, flags fell. Governors declared independence. Whole fleets defected. Enslaved systems revolted without needing Terran aid. One by one, the stars the Empire once ruled abandoned it. Zarifis Prime stood alone. At last, the Emperor appeared, his once glorious robes torn, his crown cast aside. He broadcast a single, choked message to Earth and the rebellion. We yield. Weeks later, in the ruins of the Imperial Council chamber, Mira walked alone. Sunlight streamed through the shattered stained glass of the dome above. Around her stood a new council, Terran diplomats, alien leaders, and rebel commanders. No thrones, no gilded armor, only purpose. A Rithari representative leaned in. What now, Captain? Mira looked around the chamber, silent for a moment. Now we build something better. She stepped to the central dais. The flag of Earth and its allies hung behind her, a symbol not of dominance, but of resistance, unity, and earned freedom. She raised her voice for all to hear. We will not rule by fear. We will not silence dissent. Every world that stood with us has a place here. This isn't a new empire. It's a promise. No more tyrants. No more warnings. Far above the council, among the stars, the Vindicator held silent vigil, no longer a sword, but a shield. The war was over, but humanity had just begun.